Excellency Worrel Nero, Ambassador at Large and Honorary Consul here in Philadelphia. Mr. Nero is a practicing attorney. He's a product of East Bastyr, St. Kitts. After performing admirable at his primary school and secondary level, he migrated in 1969 to St. Martin, then in 1972 to the United States, and served in the U.S. Army. Following an honorable discharge, he settled in Washington, D.C., where he studied accounting at Southeast University and became the first black internal auditor at Washington Gas and Light Company. The company was incorporated in 1848 and is based in Washington District of Columbia. He subsequently read law at Loyola Law School, from where he earned a Jewish doctorate degree in 1987. After working as a trial attorney at the Defense Association of Philadelphia, he opened his own law firm in Philadelphia in 1991, and he now enjoys an international practice concentrating in the areas of immigration law, crime law, business, litigation, and personal injury. Mr. Nero holds legal bar membership in several jurisdictions, including that of Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, U.S. District Court of Eastern District of Pennsylvania, U.S. County Court of Appeal for the Third Circuit, and in May 2009, he was inducted into the United States Supreme Court Bar by Chief Justice John Roberts and his Associate Justice. Mr. Nero has been approved as a Master in the Philadelphia Crime Law American Inn of Courts. This Inn of Courts focuses on issues that affect the state's court criminal practices in Philadelphia, participations in Philadelphia. Within the Philadelphia Criminal Law American Inn of Courts of Master Road, limited to 25 practitioners. In the Philadelphia community, Mr. Nero sits on boards of directors of numerous and non-corporation and non-profit community development organizations. His service to the community he serves time has been acknowledged in 2007. He was presented with a United States Congressional Award by the Honorable Shaka Patel of Philadelphia for his service to the Caribbean community in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. Mr. Nero also has the distinction of being Honorary Consul General of St. Kitts and Nevis in Philadelphia since 2009. On November the 11th, 2022, he was appointed Ambassador at Large in matters of state in the office of the Prime Minister. Let's welcome him. Let's welcome His Excellency, Mr. Worrel, Ambassador Worrel Nero.
Good afternoon. As we started a bit late, I'd like to adopt the protocol ably established by the moderator. I'd also like to say thank you to the organizers for inviting me here to give a perspective on the country that I'm from, St. Kitts and Nevis. St. Kitts and Nevis is a twin island state federation in the Caribbean is known for many things. It's known for its stunning landscapes, its rich history, strong commitment to sustainable development, and we know quite a bit about collaboration. Collaboration is the theme for today. And it simply means the action of working with someone, some organization, to produce or create something. So, the government of St. Kitts is always keen to collaborate with anyone, individually, whether it's a company or state or whatever, in terms of helping to develop the country, and we offer many opportunities to do that. So, I mentioned the history, the rich history of St. Kitts and Nevis. I'll tell you some of the things that you probably may not know. The very first hotel in the Caribbean was the Bath Hotel in Nevis. The very first Secretary of the Treasury of the United States was Alexander Hamilton, who was born in Nevis. We also had, from the European side, Lord Horatio Nelson, who met his wife Fanny in Nevis and married in Nevis. In St. Kitts, we have Winston Hill Fort that was built in 1700s. It is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But let me tell you some of the things that St. Kitts has to offer, and perhaps some of the areas in which you could assist. St. Kitts and Nevis, we offer a range of attractive investment opportunities across various sectors. Thanks to the stable environment, favorable investment policies, and strategic location in the Caribbean. Here are a few of the investment opportunities. We begin, of course, with what we call CBI, which is Citizenship by Investment. That's a program that actually started as a kit, started by Dr. William People, long before the United States had the EB-5, first country to have started it. Now, what does it do? Well, as an overview, the program allows investors to gain citizenship in exchange for substantial economic contributions. So investors can contribute to the Sustainable Growth Fund or invest in approved real estate projects. The program provides benefits such as visa-free travel to numerous countries, tax advantages, and the potential for higher returns on real estate investments. Secondly, real estate and tourism. With its natural beauty and growing tourism sector, real estate investments in St. Kitts and Nevis are lucrative. So we invite people to invest in luxury resorts, boutique hotels, residential properties aimed at both tourists and expatriates. So we have areas in Nevis, Hamilton Estates, Kitts, we have development. And we have the area that's most recently been developed, which we call the Peninsula. Travel time between St. Kitts and Nevis could be as little as 8 minutes by water taxi. If you wish to take the vehicle, there's no new mode of transportation, there's no two modes you can put into the equal one. That takes about 30 minutes. I said that to tell you that the islands are very close. And on a given weekend, if you were to go to all the popular spots in Nevis, you'll see many beautiful centers there. When there's a function, it's in kids. For instance, the music festival is coming up pretty soon. Many people from Nevis will be there. So we enjoy a cross-cultural, a cross-family, cross-friendship with each other. As a matter of fact, St. Kitts boasts the Hyatt. It's the only Grand Hyatt in the Caribbean. There's no other Hyatt in Trinidad and Hyatt. The Grand Hyatt is the top of the Hyatt chain. Nevis boasts 4 seasons. Very few in the Caribbean. Now, the Grand Hyatt is closer to Nevis than the island and the Pacific. So, more people from Nevis work at the Grand Hyatt than beautiful cities. Take a boat, they'll be here to work in 8 minutes. Interesting. So, renewable energy is the third thing that I wish to get into. I will get into it more expansively later because I was asked to get into it by our moderator who was interested, like having seen some investments that's coming our way. He thought he would be interested to expand on that, so I will do that. So, government is committed to sustainable development, particularly in renewable energy projects, geothermal, wind, and solar power. The Caribbean has very, very high costs for electricity, especially in its needs. The cost of water isn't as much, but electricity is very, very expensive. So, anytime we can find a way to harness that or to get investors to help, then we are very happy and lucky that people will recognize and invest in our country. I said I'll come back to that, so I'll move on to agriculture and food production. We are part of CARICOM. CARICOM, as you may or may not know, consists of 20 countries. We have 15 permanent countries and 5 associate countries. Jamaica, of course, is part of CARICOM. And so, there's a CARICOM initiative called 25 by 25. And that is to push to reduce the importation of food throughout the Caribbean by increasing local agriculture production. And St. Kitts is part of that, Jamaica is part of it, all the other Caribbean islands are part of that program. And so we encourage people who have interest to help us in that direction as well. So, what does that entail? That entail things like investment in modern techniques, farming techniques, greenhouse agriculture, aquaculture, development of local food processing facilities. You have to understand that St. Kitts and Nevis is a very small place with 50,000 people living there. With such a small number, as opposed to Jamaica that has 3 million people, we have to be very careful, very mindful, and resourceful in how we achieve all of these things. Another area is financial services. In the financial services area, we position ourselves to try and be the hub in the Caribbean of financial services. So, we have established international banks, insurance companies, investment firms, and so on. The government offers incentives for financial service companies, including tax advantages, and a robust regulatory framework. In addition to that, we have information and communication technology. Government is focused on enhancing that ICT platform Because as you know, the world is a very different place today than it was 30 years ago. Nowadays, you can live in some kids that work in Ghana. People live in Ghana and work in Nevis. But to do that, you need that healthy, that robust infrastructure. Telecommunications is a must. You must have good broadband lines, you must have good telephone service, and that sort of thing. We have manufacturing, of course, which we focus on. Light manufacturing, because a country with 55,000 people simply cannot do heavy manufacturing. So what we have in St. Kitts Nevis, we have factories that make parts for companies in the US and so on. So we play a small part in that. And so that's something that we encourage. And we encourage anyone who wishes to make an investment in that area to do so. Of course, another area is in the education and health services area. That's an area of great interest because that's an area that we work very closely with Africa. Windsor University Medical School is in case. It's about maybe 95% African students that come. So it's an investment. When they come to school, of course you pay attention to the schools, but you need housing, you need food, you need transportation, you need all of those other things. It goes along with it. So we're fortunate to have two medical schools in St. Kitts, one medical school in Nevis. Also, in addition, have a nursing school in St. Kitts. And we have a school where veterinary school that's very, very popular. When you look at things that St. Kitts and Nevis needs, it's a lot. But we also have a lot. I explained what we have in terms of natural beauty and all of those things. So we encourage anyone to come and make an investment in these things. So let me go back to what I said I would earlier. So, right now we have a situation in St. Kitts where we have just signed, the Prime Minister just signed the UAE in Abu Dhabi, started memorandum of understanding where the KNW, Siemens Energy, would collaborate again. We go back to that theme of collaboration. And the aim is to develop geothermal power plants in Nevis. That would mark a significant step towards renewable energy, independence in the Twin Islands. In addition to that, on April 16th, our Deputy Prime Minister, on a visit to Saudi Arabia, secured a loan of $14 million to help us in the energy sector as well. The geothermal project in Nevis is expected to, in the first instance, generate about 10 megawatts of energy, which is good. The idea is once that is done, we will export energy to other Caribbean islands. The arrangement with Saudi Arabia, an additional 18 megawatts of energy. They bring in things that we don't have. We don't have capacity. We don't have the engineering. We don't have that set of people that's necessary, professionals. And so I encourage all of you to do that as well, because what happens? As I mentioned earlier, St. Kitts is part of CARICOM. So what does CARICOM have? CARICOM have the free movement of people and goods. And what that means is that if you're living in Jamaica, that there's an opportunity, you're an engineer, or you're whatever profession, there's a list that can develop to you. You wish to go to work in St. Kitts, you can do so. It requires two things. It requires a clean police record from the country of origin, whether it's Jamaica or Barbados or St. Kitts or wherever else. And it requires that you fit the criteria for the job. If you're an engineer, then you must be your qualifications must spell that on and so on. And that there's lots of areas of that cover. It's not just civil engineering, but almost every imaginable business thing you can imagine. It's Nevis is part of that. I think I mentioned the projected scope of the geothermal project. So I will go back and do that. The project, though, involves drilling production, re-injecting wells in order to get access to the geothermal resources. I know that Jamaica has hot springs very recently, actually. Nevis actually have hot springs. Not on the same scale, but hot springs there. So we know that geothermal energy is there. Feasibility studies were done, technical documentation on the way, and we try to ensure that a robust, sustainable implementation of the project moves along. So, the project is expected to create numerous jobs, both the construction and operational phases. In other words, the plants must be built, so we need people to build the plant. And once the plant is done and becomes operational, it must be maintained, so people will have that set of jobs. And as I mentioned earlier, and I'm tying this back in so that you can understand the importance of CARICOM. The jobs are not just facilities these people. CARICOM jobs are there. So if it's something that you have interest in, actually think about that and think about how you can assist. What are the environmental benefits of that? Well, it would help us to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels, and everybody's going that way. We're too small to say we're making or using EV cars, fully electric cars. We don't have that capacity yet. I myself have a hybrid company. So most people buy cars not trying to buy hybrids, especially the ones that doesn't require plug-in, right? When we talk about what can be done for a small place, and we like to say to the kids that we're small but we punch above our weight. And we can say that in many areas, and we've seen it. We've seen how the people of St. Kitts Nevis have responded to almost everything. The capacity to grow is there, high intellectual capacity, a good workforce, not enough people. And I say this because all of us at this table need to be concerned about a couple of trends that's happening in the Caribbean. I'm in the Caribbean very regularly. What's happening in the Caribbean is that there are two groups that's looking to colonize the Caribbean. One is the Chinese, and one is the Indians. You better wake up, because what happens is that once the Chinese or Indians come in, they tend to hire Chinese or Indians. It's just the reality of it. I'm not saying it's a racial problem, I'm not saying that. Because all kinds of reasons can exist, or do exist, like people hire their own and so on. But very often, though, these people come in, and they come in with grants and loans, non-interest free from the countries. So here you are, you live in the Nevis, and you live in this kids. And you have 2 or 3 children, and you need to educate them and so on. And you have to pay for all of that. And so you're working very hard. And the guy comes in, he has a jewelry store. It's a jewelry store. Because he gives somebody from St. Kitts and Nevis the job to work in the jewelry store. Unlike usually somebody from India can't even speak the language to me. Or somebody from China. And they come in. The reason I say all of this too is to let them know when those countries help, the help is a lot of strings attached. People ought to know that. Rules and so on and so on. That is something that will be very expensive. We try to avoid it, but you can't. Totally. But you have to be always on your guard and look out if you will, and be mindful that these things happen. Now, without worrying you too much, I just want to make the point that, and I spoke to the Prime Minister when I was on my way here, and I told him that about it, and he says, to extend greetings from his office. I said, greetings from the Prime Minister. But I say all of this to say that St. Kitts and Nevis is a good society that welcomes all of the women in Africa. We wish that you can take a look at us. You're not Las Vegas, but in our own way, we have much to offer. So why invest in St. Kitts and Nevis, you may ask? In addition to the myriad of things that I pointed out earlier, we have a stable government. We are sustainability focused. I mentioned the whole idea of infrastructure that we have. I may have sounded big a while ago when I mentioned Hyatt, but it's true. And they're there because they saw what's in this meeting center. Nobody comes in with money unless they look at the ROI, which is quite familiar. Everybody who wants investment wants to make something of that investment. So, in closing, let me reiterate that St. Kitts and Nevis presents a unique opportunity for investors to participate. Not only the pioneering geothermal energy project, other sustainable ventures. I welcome any questions that you may have about what I've just presented. Thank you.
Thank you very much, His Excellency. What we'd like to do is to keep questions for later on. Let's just go through both presentations. But in summary, I'd just like to mention to you that all islands in the Caribbean, His Excellency did mention it, and the fact that you come in a borderless area. No need for visas. You can travel, live for a while. Obviously, when you do go into the different countries, they will give you or stamp your passport for a period of time for you to check in, at least a month prior, and let them know that you're still there, if you're expected to stay or going beyond your time. But it comes back to what we spoke about earlier, collaboration. His Excellency didn't really tell you the cost, or I should say the dollars. They received $2 billion dollars for the geothermal or for the alternative energy taking the lead in that in the Caribbean. $2 billion. No strings attached. And the intent is to start there and expand it to the other Caribbean nations and also outside of the Caribbean to Africa. One of the things that you'll be looking at is using the ocean to create energy. They're doing it right now in Saudi Arabia. They're doing it right now in Dubai. Why can't we do it in the Caribbean? We have so many oceans. Solar energy. We have so much sand on the beaches. We don't need to make sand. Solar energy panels, sand, and copper. Anyway, if we come off of that, we do have the presenters. And His Excellency, thank you very much for the wonderful presentation this afternoon. I am intrigued to know that the Grand Hyatt is the original and also the only Grand Hyatt in place. I was not aware of that, but I learned that today. Thank you for sharing that. And I hope this event is something where you can take the knowledge back or use that information to better yourselves. I know that we have travel agents here. I hope today we'll be able to help you or assist you in bettering what you do. Like, for example, Caribbean or CARICOM has been coming on board in this country. You could be the agent to move people from country to country. Just an example. We have another presenter, Mr. Shane Angus is the manager for the North America Region Office, the United States and Canada of the Jamaica Commercial Corporation, which is called JAMPRO. He is also the current interim vice president of export at JAMPRO since 2023. He has held the position of regional manager since 2019. Has been with the organization for 7 years. Prior to his current position, Mr. Angus was manager of the business process outsourcing and information technology sector, where he successfully grew the industry to over 40,000 employees and over 65 companies operating in Jamaica alone. Given his proven track record and success, Shane is driven to continue this success by identifying and attracting investors in the United States and Canada to view Jamaica as their next investment destination. Added to this are the responsibility to drive export Jamaica products into America and Canada's market and to develop business relationships that will see continuous trade among the markets. Join me and let's welcome to Philadelphia the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection, Mr. Shane Angus, Vice President of JAMPRO. Hearing me loud and clear? Yep. Thank you, Senator. Good evening, everyone. Our protocols for being here. Let me first apologize for being late. Today marks my first bad experience coming into Philly. I'm trying to give a warm time. So we're dealing for over. So thank you. So yes, I'm JAMPRO. And JAMPRO is really Jamaica Promoters Agency. So we're a government agency responsible for promoting investment in the country, as well as helping our companies export into markets like US, Canada, UK, well, all over the world. So that's the task that we take on. In doing so, we have certain responsibilities or certain privileges we offer to our clients. For those coming in and those who want to do business with Jamaica, we offer market intelligence, business matchmaking, site selection, outward mission, inward mission, business facilitation. So all things you need, approvals for you to invest, all the roll up the red card. So we have a saying that we roll in the red tape and we roll up the red card to make your investment quite easy in the country. So once you're looking to do any business in Jamaica, JAMPRO is your gateway to ensure you have a very successful business experience. So Jamaica is not really, we might be one of the bigger Caribbean countries, but we're not making the grand scheme of things. We just have probably around 3 million people, with another 3 million persons in the diaspora. So we collectively, we might be the powerhouse in the Caribbean, but not the greatest. Our native language is English. We have been on a very good trajectory over the past few years in terms of financing the country itself. We have seen a reduction in our GDP, which has brought a lot of things happening in the country, and a lot more investors looking into the country. So a few years ago, people shied away from Jamaica. So I can't visit there, you're too risky. Nowadays, people are looking at every opportunity in Jamaica, from the mining perspective, the real estate perspective. So, I mean, it's at a stage now where so much international investors are looking in that on the prime areas, the cost of land in Jamaica is more rivaling those in Miami and other areas, because that's how much persons are looking in and want to be part of what's happening. So we have seen quite a bit over the past few years. We have seen 17.5 billion worth of investment in the country, which, as you can see coming in, has changed the whole landscape of Jamaica. I live in Kingston. I go to Kingston every 6 months or so, but every time I go to Kingston, it's a different place. It's totally different. There's so much things happening. I mean, so for the first time in my life, I'm seeing cranes. You know, those construction cranes. I've seen quite a few of them now happening in Jamaica for years. That was just a myth that you wish you would see something like that happen. But we're one of those ideal locations for investment. There are certain things the country offers to investors coming in. And investors do want to hear certain things. They want to know that you have no restriction on foreign on your profits. You can repatriate your profits in Jamaica, allow you to do that. You have no limitation on foreign ownership. So as a foreigner coming in, you can own assets. There's no limitation. In some instances though, for some businesses, we do have things in place to ensure we protect the local. So industries such as the cannabis industry, if you're coming in to invest, we actually have a rule in place that 51% of that business must be owned by a local. So we try to protect the investment or the interest of the people. The newest thing we have launched is $1 billion Jamaican dollar in what is called a FEM fund. So that is now for us one of the industries that we're going to push. So over the years, to track how as a country we will have grown, you would have found that there are different industries at different times that will give you that purpose. So we had mining, and we had tourism, and we had, so when my time was BPO, I mean, I was charged with doing that, was a huge industry. And now we're at the forefront of the film, animation, and music. That's a huge thing. And there's so much you can gain from that industry. So the government has realized what is at stake, and they have invested quite a bit of money. Doing that, we have said to the companies coming in, you can access this fund. But you have to partner with a local company. So if you have a Paramount is coming in to do a movie or to set up the, you have to partner with a local, and in doing so, we're developing our local industry or local industry. They can be a partner. So our recent big movie that came out was Donahue. That was a huge hit for us. It spent around 50 million euros was spent in the country. And before that, we had a James Bond, we had William Black, we had quite a bit of movie that really is fun and all that stuff. So an industry like that, which is not as formal as we would want, they too are benefiting. And now by putting this incentive in place, we are now able to formalize the industry, bring everyone in, and see how we can grow the industry. So we realize
like you look at Africa, Nollywood. Who do you think is the number one watcher of movies from Nollywood?
Caribbean.
Who's too smart? Make a guess. Mexico. Mexico is the number one watcher of movies from Nollywood. So you see, there's so much things you can say. Little for this entire Mexico will have our Nigerian culture down there, so you can spread it in so many different ways. So yes, we are doing that. But the government is really committed to growing the music industry. And there are many moves that have been made. Lots of moves that have been made. One, we're moving to a digital business. We're trying to get rid of all big books. You know, you normally go to the police station, you used to have this big book, you have to write, and you want 45 of them entries, and no, we're trying to get away with all that. They don't have tablets where they can collate and they can get information quite easy. We are trying to look at economic residency programs. We are first investing in some amount of money, may stable to look at into some residency in the country. So that's something that we're looking at right now. And then we have developed the government land bank. So funnily, there's a lot of land in Jamaica. And the government said don't know the amount of land they have. So now it's a whole new work around getting this land in our portfolio where you can now package them for investors to look at accessing this land, both for farming, for hotel development, for whatever you see fit. We are trying to get those lands in our state that persons can invest in them. And then we have the business reform agenda where we are now getting all the land title and everything through an electronic system. So meaning you can see from here, I say my grandmother had land in XYZ, I can go through this process online and I can get my title, I can get everything done without you have to be there and all of it. And then the tax reform, we're looking at a mini tax reform and the single window for trade. So normally when you're doing things in Jamaica, you have multiple agencies that you have to go to. So you take a week just running around different agencies, going back to this one, going, no, we decide that's a bit too much for investors or can anybody do this at all in Jamaica. So we have now implemented a single window for trade where all permits, everything is done on one platform. So once you approve here, send to the other agency, you can track the progress of your document easily online without you have to do it all over the place. So that is something we have just recently. With our current trajectory, I mean, Chris is here a few years ago, Chris here you may know a little bit more than me, but a few years ago, Jamaica debt to GDP was almost 150%. So meaning that every dollar we earn, $150 is debt. We are totally in the red. Over the past few years, we have done quite a bit of things. We were the poster child for IBM now, for the World Bank for a while. We got out of that, and now we've started to stand on our own. And I'm pleased to say we are now down to 79%. And based on what's happening, we're still going to get further down. And because of that, all international bodies have now increased our ratings. Everybody's thinking, okay, Jamaica is now up. And I'm getting the calls now. We were looking at Jamaica, we didn't want to invest, but now we feel more comfortable to invest, and you guys can now stand on your own. The minister just announced that the National Reserve now stands at $5 billion, which is a massive thing for us coming from 1.5 billion at some point. So meaning we can sustain the nation for a while with the reserve that we have. So that's also a good thing to look at. But Jamaica, again, is like a near-term deliverable. So we are there to ensure that a lot of things are happening. We're strategically located. We have one of the 6 largest ports in the harbor in the world. Sorry, we are a natural harbor. So we can take some large ships coming in through the port. So what you'll find in the Caribbean region is a lot of ships will come to Jamaica and do what is called a breakwater. So you drop the containers in Jamaica, then they are broken from there and shipped to different areas. We're smaller vessels and traverse in there. We have a large trainable workforce, and we're investing a lot more in training and a lot more in training institutions. And as the industry goes by, an organization like us, JAMPRO, we tend to take that feedback back to the government quickly. And we say, okay, I'm looking at outsourcing, and this is the area that we see the next 3 years, 4 years will be key priority for us to play. How can we actually respond to this by having training courses in place? We're still a bit slow, and that's something I'm going to say we need to work with our universities on if we're to survive as a Caribbean region. The universities behave like a huge ship. They take forever to turn. So if they have a course and they have curriculum, just keep with that. But the industry and the world is changing faster than that. So when you have smaller universities and smaller training schools that ability to pivot quickly, then you can play the game. So we're trying to get the university to get to that level where they will understand what's happening. I mean, they're academic, they should know what's happening, but change your course quickly so we can take advantage of what's happening. There's a lot of opportunity. We have spent a lot of money over the past few years in developing the telecoms infrastructure as well as the road network. You just mentioned the Chinese, they did a massive investment in Jamaica for the one highway that reduced the time from cross culture about 45 minutes. And now they're looking at one into Mandeville, which means you can travel from Kingston to Mandeville in 45 minutes again. That's an hour and a half journey coming too. So a lot of money has been spent there. And now they're looking to expand the East Coast. So from Kingston to Portland and all the way around, we're having one road and one connectivity. So quite a bit of things are happening there. And as a country, we recognize where we are, we recognize who we need to play with. And we have had quite a bit of agreements. We have signed quite a bit of agreements with the country. So we have quite a bit of trade agreements that I can't even name all of them now, but if you're doing some business in Jamaica, always ask first about what agreement do you have with the countries I want to trade with. And by going through that, you find out there's so much advantage you can get in trading from Jamaica to other countries. Because you get all the taxes, quite a bit of stuff happening, reduce taxes here and here, and it's quite a bit of advantage for persons to really trade. So our port is pretty big. We can take ships now up to 14,000 TEU, which is a 20 container. You can take ships up with that size. We have a storage capacity for 3.2 million containers. And as it stands now, we're connected to another 140 ports around the world. So quite a bit of things happening. And we have 12 major shipping lines coming into Jamaica, and more are looking to come to Jamaica. On the other side of transport is really airlines and airlines. As it stands now, we have 740 international flights coming into the country in a week. And then 40 airlines coming in as well. So, significant market research. We believe as the theme for this event is collaboration. We too, as Ambassador did mention, believe that the Caribbean is not just really a bunch of small islands. Together we are a powerhouse. And if we work together, there's a lot of things that can happen. We have the proximity to the markets, from major markets, North America, South America. We have access, for us, we have access to 2.7 million people on the ground, but 4 million people visiting annually. Those 4 million people are messengers for us, bringing the message out there. And then in our diaspora, we have the other 3 million persons, more Jamaican than I have. So they are one really and carrying the flag of it. Events like this really highlight the importance of having those messages sent. So we believe CARICOM has 18 million persons, and in a lot of our efforts, when we're out there selling, we not only sell as Jamaica, we sell as Jamaica. When I was doing outsourcing, and I've been all over the Philippines, India, I was doing outsourcing, trying to get companies. What are the pictures that you just looking at Jamaica, but we're CARICOM. So you set up in Jamaica, and we need the labor from around there. It's amount we can tap into. And that was quite attractive for persons to look at. So we expand our things to talking to not just us, but with all industries, there are incentives, and we do have a lot of incentives. Based on your industry, you can reach out and you can talk about the incentives. There's a special economic zone, which is the biggest thing we're trying to do now, which is really designed to get companies to come in and use Jamaica as a facility for doing things to serve other markets. So if you want to manufacture something to serve the US market, we're saying, come to Jamaica, we'll give you all the incentives you need. You will access to the talent, you access to the labor rates you want, and then you can export it back to the different countries you want to make it very competitive. Even if you are into appliances, why not ship it to Jamaica in one of those facilities? You will like assemble there and ship it to the market, pretty close. So even from China, it takes up forever to get it, but from Jamaica, it's quite easy to ship it. So there are all other incentives we have, such as group headquarters. So we'll encourage companies to come in. Have your headquarters in Jamaica, you have a lot of incentives. 10 years free, tax free, all those things you can look at what to set up your headquarters. So at JAMPRO, we have a particular way how we do business. We segment all the sectors and have teams in-house to manage our sectors. So I was fortunate to have outsourcing, which was one of my favorite sectors. At the time, it was hard. But there's agriculture, there's tourism, there's manufacturing, mining, logistics. So there are different teams there. So the team has three roles. One, to look at the industry you have now, and let's see how we can expand that industry. Let us see how best we can expand the industry. In expanding the industry, you will find that there are other opportunities within the industry that we can segment into. So normally, like for us with BPO, we started on the call center side. We wanted call center in. But once you reach to probably 45,000 people, you need to segment into other areas based on what's happening. So we looked at knowledge processing. How can we get the accountants to come here? How can we get the legal persons to come here? So you're segmenting things. And in doing that again, you try to find new opportunities. So as a company, those are things we look at. So I'll just share with you quickly the some sectors and the opportunities that exist. And if you're interested to learn more, we can have conversation. As it stands now, the outsourcing space is at 60,000 persons strong. We believe that we should get to 65,000 within the next year. So we're trying to onboard around 65,000. What does that mean for investors? One, there's a need for space. Call centers require state-of-the-art facility, 50,000 square feet facility, big buildings to operate efficiently. They require cybersecurity, they require training, they require real estate, both commercial and residential, because a lot of these persons bring their intent in. Set up and to go, so they require quite a bit. And food services, daycare, and professional services. And professional services here mean legal, accounting, etc. We actually, those persons tend to benefit a lot from outsourcing space. Food services is something that I had a friend who, he's a big investor in this space, and he had a small hotel. And closed on the hotel, and it was a bit puzzled to me, because it was doing quite private. And he said to me, no, actually you closed down the hotel because you wanted to use the kitchen facility to provide 5,000 lunches a day. Every single day is providing 5,000 lunches. You can do the math on that to know that he is really in the space and he's enjoying the space, you know? Let's end overhead and he's getting quite a bit more. There are opportunities in mining. So Jamaica has one of the purest limestone in the world. Like almost like at 99% purity. And the pure limestone is a pharmaceutical, so your toothpaste, your pills that you take, etc. That's pure limestone. And Jamaica has a 99% pure limestone. So you can come in and you can get, so the average limestone is very pure. But outside of that, we have seen sources coming in, and they want to get limestone for different things. A lot of construction happens around the world. People are buying a lot of limestone for construction. We recently engaged with a client from Donahue who came to Jamaica to do this huge project around bringing limestone to Jamaica. So when I went down to Delaware to meet with him, I was a bit concerned. But driving down to Delaware, I realized what he was doing. Delaware has a lot of farms, huge farms. And he said to me the soil quality isn't great. So they need limestone to neutralize the soil. So he's going to bring it in by the shipload, put it in small bulk and sell it to the farmers. And that he's looking at about estimated 500,000 tons annually to do that. So you know the opportunity does exist. And in this manufacturing and mining, there's elements that need furniture buildings for the hotels, etc., paper production, medical devices manufacturing, and contract manufacturing within one of the cities. In the film animation and music, which I mentioned earlier, there's a need for develop and promote. So we do have a lot of films that are in the stage right films to develop, but funding is needed. So this money that we have distributed allocated will not do all films, but we select those that are winners and we pair them with investors abroad to ensure that we get them and distribute them around the world. And that's another way to sell our country. And again, investment in physical infrastructure. One thing that's needed in the Caribbean, I know Dominican Republic has one. A lot of you probably will know, but Dominican Republic has one of these huge, the largest, what you call water, like a pool to make movies. So like Pirates of the Caribbean. Pirates of the Caribbean is actually done in a big pond. But where is that pond? So DR has this big pond with huge fans that can create and simulate that ocean. And we, on the other hand, we lack sound studios. So we are looking again to have sound studios set up. Kind of current model. Bring your people in, bring everybody in, stay in a hotel, and develop your movie here. So we are looking to do that as well. So any investor will find the average film sound studio may cost between 150 million to 300 million years. So we have quite a person looking at it, but the more the merrier. So we won't turn around. Logistics again, the special economic zone is part of where we are. We're looking to build that out as a $2 billion project, and then we serve the entire region as a logistics hub. And then there's tourism. So we are all aware of huge hotels coming in, but there's a new opportunity in tourism. It's the boutique tourism. And it's a boutique tourism in which you actually can now promote your own self and your own culture. So the large hotel does not give you the true Jamaican experience, but the boutique hotel does. And that's where we are trying to get more. And it's kind of more affordable for persons. You can say, okay, 3 of us can come together and build a 20-room or 50-room villa, and we have this as a boutique hotel. The other hotel will cost $1 billion, but you can see where, as a retirement plan, somebody can say, you know, I have X amount of money, let me build this villa in Jamaica, and let me just do it. And there are community needs, so you're supporting the community, and people are integrating. So the American tourists tend to want the all-inclusive experience. I spend one money, I drink all the beer, eat all the food, I get back on the plane, and we go. The European tourists is totally different. They want to come into your community, they want to put their backpack on their back, and they want to trek through the hills, they want to go down to the little corner shop, they want to sit and talk, they want to know what's happening. So that's a total ball game. And then for health reasons as well, a lot of people can go to a boutique where you can relax and recover from surgery, etc. So that's the biggest opportunity, and that's what we're trying to push as much as we can. And then agribusiness, there's a lot to gain in agribusiness. There's about $1 billion worth of untapped opportunity in agriculture. $1 billion here. The supply is in the different markets, even the supply within Jamaica. We have a lot of stuff, and we're doing quite a bit of work with that here to promote it. And then on the export side, we're always looking for consolidators, distributors, and new markets for our products. So we have grown quite a bit of distributors. If you have the appetite to understand and want to do more of that, you can talk to us. We can help you to be a distributor of products in the region, because that does that. Again, I just want to end by saying we look to collaborate. We work strongly with other countries. One, sharing of information, stronger bargaining power. When we go together as a group, we have been to Mexico as a group. Just the mere presence of the Caribbean as a group is really powerful. Individually, they can divide and conquer. Together, we are very strong. And then there's access to talent to carry forward what we can do from that. So, I guess my time is up, but that's where I want to end it. And thank you for listening to me. And if you have any questions, we will get it.
Thank you very much, Shane. And I'd like to move into questions from both presentations. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. So my question has to do with 50 years of pushing international monetary debt, and it's a cautionary tale for emerging economies as to how Jamaica is telling its success story of reducing debt service and then strategic planning for expanding economic development and reinvesting in the social contract like schools, roads, hospitals, universities, public works. And so what is Jamaica doing around telling that success story?
So, as I said earlier, we have done quite a bit of work on it, right? But we are not only telling our own stories. The IMF itself, they are spreading our story now. They're saying, look at Jamaica. So when they're going to other countries, you are on your crush on your debt, look at Jamaica. But we, on every platform, we do what Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, they do talk about the success story and the progress we have made today. We have done quite a bit of work. To be honest, I don't think a lot of persons in Jamaica do realize it. People are sometimes not in tune to what's happening. But international investors, when we talk to them, that's where we start from. And they will say, yeah, we are watching you guys, we are aware of what's happening. We know what they're doing, and we know where you'll be in the next few years if you continue on that path. The good thing, the election is in the air, both here and Jamaica. So now you hear it a lot more. And one thing you realize is, you hear every single time in the news, new projects that the government are embarking on. We're expanding this road network, we're putting this school in place, we're building new hospitals, we're doing, new things so that people can feel it on the ground. We're allowing for incentives, we're increasing the wage of this, we're increasing benefits at elder hospital, things like that. We really are not trying to promote about the country.
Great.
So might just add to that. So might just add to the answer. Oh, sorry. So might just add to the answer. I think one of the things that really shocked me is that you will recall that the US issued a travel advisory to Jamaica warning tourists from coming to the country. And one would think under normal circumstances that there'd be less income to Jamaica if there's a travel. I went on radio to say it's the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. And in any case, because crime had actually been declining. But in any case, one would have thought that less people would come to Jamaica. Amazingly, we're showing record tourist arrivals. She might know the numbers. I think it's 4 million.
4 million at this point, which is 4 million at this point is really something that would have to happen probably closer to the end of the year. So the projection is going to be a crazy year in terms of numbers of tourism. So yes, you're right, Chris. People would think people would shy away, and I think it's doing more for us.
So one of the things is that when African Americans use their disposable income, we can impact world economies. So when everybody else was closed during COVID, guess where we were? Mexico. Because Mexico wasn't closed. And then Mexico became a place where people started to settle. There are whole enclaves of African Americans who have decided to live in Mexico because their dollar goes farther. So I just wonder about how Jamaica can do that same tourism attraction and also that issue around folks retiring and building those economic development boutique hotels in Jamaica, because that's interesting.
So during COVID, our minister was actually awarded for one move he made, our tourism minister. He made a move because he didn't want to go big, that strip where all the hotels are. He made a move that is recognized around the world, all tourists know about the greatest move for good. What he did, he designated that corridor as like a tourist corridor, an international corridor, allowing people free people. And that action alone actually kept the industry going for a lot of hours. Like just that one simple move. And he was recognized on that corridor. But notwithstanding, in other sectors, what we did, outsourcing again, we realized that India buckled, Philippines buckled. These are the two largest markets for outsourcing, and they buckled. We immediately, as an association and government, we actually had what is called, so we had these strict rules around the special economic zone. So if you bring your computers into the call center, you have 1,000 employees in the call centers. Everything is a free zone. So there's nothing that's supposed to leave without a particular process, because everything is duty free. So it should stay within the walls of that zone. Within a week, we actually allowed the rule to be flexible, to allow companies to now actually move computers out into the homes of the agents, have a worker policy. So while the kind of big pioneers of outsourcing were struggling, all of a sudden, Jamaica through that point saw a rapid increase in person switching. So the companies in India start to switch more and more to Jamaica because we would have responded to what's happening. So we're really trying to stay in tune with the industry and to be very proactive.
Yeah, because before the pandemic, everybody was talking about BRICS, Russia, Brazil, India, China. And so and that was marketing. That was really marketing. Those were those folks getting together and saying, we're going to market this. And so how can the Caribbean, how can the African countries, how can the countries that are from the diaspora market themselves as the next emerging economy?
So we are, I think we're doing quite a bit of work on it, right? We are trying to be trendsetter, and we want to bring the entire Caribbean around us. We hope that a lot of persons, sometimes we try to play live, meaning we try to encourage persons to buy Jamaica, to buy the Caribbean, to look at what we produce, to give us that. Because the biggest challenge we have is where is our dollar? Where is it being spent? Right? Is it being spent within our community or in other communities?
Yeah.
I saw an article that the Chinese, they keep the dollar within their community for 30 days, while the black Americans keep their dollar for like 2 days. So we want to keep that dollar for at least 15 days within our own community, and probably from that we go.
All right, so I got a marketing thing. I'm sorry. MACA. Mexico, Africa, Caribbean with a little X. Mexico, Africa, and the Caribbean with a little a. So M-A-C, capital, lowercase a.
All right. No. I would like to allow His Excellency Worrel, Nero, to respond to that question, especially in reference to the last question you asked.
Oh, about BRICS, about marketing,
Okay.
emerging economies.
Yeah, because you did touch on that in reference to education and stuff.
So my question was about the before the pandemic, all we heard about in terms of emerging economies were the BRIC economies: Brazil, Russia, India, and China. And so, how can Africa and the Caribbean come together to be able to talk about their economies being emerging economies on an international scale, on that global scale?
Well, I think it's happening. It's happening slowly because you must understand that we are much more countries. Countries that so it's a little bit what it is. And CARICOM only started in 1973. So you really ought not to expect the same kind of thing. Sorry. You really ought not to expect the same advancement of something. But I can tell you this, and I say this because I'm very active in the whole CARICOM affairs, the Prime Minister, I travel quite a bit, I meet a lot of people, and it's happening. It's happening more in Jamaica and politicians and everybody else collaborating much more than we used to. We came out of a system that was given to us by Europe, by the UK, where it was a dog eat dog. Had we done what we ought to have done a long time ago and have one federation, we would be here.
Yeah.
But we're here and we need to leave ourselves. We do it soon, but it takes time.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I have one more thing. Sorry. What about marketing something like that during FIFA? Because there's going to be a fan experience, right? And so there's an opportunity for folks to advocate to be close to each other during the fan experience. And so the idea of Mexico, Africa, and the Caribbean being giants in terms of its natural resources, its people, its, initiative, I think it's revolutionary to think about prosperity in terms of instead of deficits.
Well, I'm 100% sure. I can't speak for them, but I'm 100% sure that our tourist board and our minister, he will be doing something around. So that's great.
Okay.
I can't speak what it will be, but I know based on their budget, they will be doing something.
Yes. Looking forward to participating.
Yeah, these are some good questions that's coming. Let me recognize VP Mitchell. You have your mic on.
I just wanted to ask one quick question listening to some of the priorities on technology and sustainable development. Could either of our speakers give us some guidance in terms of the strategy with respect to the adaptation of digital currencies in the future, the allocation of land for server farms, supporting blockchain, or the implications of AI as it pertains to labor-intensive
I can't speak to the AI situation yet, but I do know that there is a push on for digital currency within the Caribbean and Africa. That will happen not that far out of the way. It's happening, and we will have digital currency hopefully soon.
As for Jamaica, we are actually under attack. We now have one from our central bank that we are looking at, and we're trying to implement it globally. So that is something on the table that we want to understand. As it relates to AI, so you will appreciate that a lot of our industries will talk about it, a lot of the services. One of the industries that we tend to say we get the biggest damage is outsourcing. You have this whole document cost center and technology coming up on this. So, but if you do understand the industry, AI will only enhance that. So we just have to ensure that we are positioning ourselves in the right area to ensure that we can play. So one of the strategies I've been working with people to look at is when you call someone, the AI is so advanced, when you call someone on the phone and the call goes to India, and the person said, my name is Bob, but you know it's not Bob. You can't understand what Bob is saying. You get so frustrated and you get so angry. Systems, AI is not picking up how angry you are. And it's not telling Bob, come back to say, okay, this one is outside of your scope. We will reroute it back to Nero. Right? So now Bob is going to transfer back to the US, where someone with his language, his accent, can understand it better. Now we are positioning ourselves to be one of those destinations to handle that thing. So you're looking at around 200-300 people, not 1,000 people in that area. We could do that in the Caribbean because we have access, we can position so like America, more than what we can do, which is why we have grown so well in the Caribbean. So it's how do we use the AI to benefit ourselves and take advantage of it. So the scope for sustainability as well is being in the market myself. When you talk to a lot of people, you realize that they will say to you, I am not going to do business with any company from your country if they don't have sustainability. So if you're going to book a hotel now, you'll see they all have activities which practice sustainability, we practice this and practice that. So we have a drive as well to ensure that we have our manufacturers or service providers to know align themselves with SDG goals and to know put things in place to show that we're sustainable because within the next 2-3 years nobody will be able to do that. So we have identified the trend and as well we are trying to force it on both sides to ensure that we're
Okay, thank you. Mr. Richardson, you asked a question earlier about the why in the Caribbean, Mexico and so on, driving the success even more. Let me just share with you that about 4 years ago, Ghana, President from Ghana, came to Jamaica first and went to Bahamas second and opened up the borders of Ghana on where anybody from the Caribbean with a good police record can go to Ghana without a visa. Okay? Now, that has matriculated into the fact that Africa and CARICOM, which is all the Caribbean nations, for the second year this year, they're having a conference in Bahamas with $1.5 billion free from the African Bank, Exim Bank, to sustain or to support any business I mentioned before, such as 500 million associated with just culture alone in the Caribbean that they're now financing. So the effort has started. It started 4 years ago. It is slowly building itself. But 5 presidents from Africa and prime ministers from the Caribbean is getting together in Nassau, Bahamas, June 22nd and 23rd this year to take advantage of $1.5 billion. Free money. Free. So if any of you take a trip down, if you have a plan, you can participate in that conference. Okay? And I have the agenda in reference to the 2-day conference. What they'll be discussing, the whole works, I can get that to you.
Just a high.
Yeah.
One thing we have been told over the years, how to control the media, how to control the message. We have always been infiltrated by what they want to tell us. When I mentioned not even a while ago about Mexico, the film industry is going to change. So a platform like that, Netflix or Hulu or those platforms, is going to change so much of the narrative. Because if you look at the trend, few persons, less and less are watching cable. Nobody wants to pay for cable. You just take internet and you download this app and you move on to all these shows. The way people are consuming things now is changing. And people are now getting their own opinion, looking at different things from different things. And that is part of the revolution of person now changing and looking at different things. Let us look at it strongly as where we are doing.
I was just going to say, because of the internet, so much has changed, and especially the creative economy, where it's no longer just trading apples and oranges and cocoa beans. I mean, Burner Boy can fill up a stadium with 60,000 people right here in the United States. From Africa, you know. So we have to look at the creative economy and see how we can continue to participate. I'm looking at Hannah. She's over here in Philadelphia building homes in Ghana, so she's going to sell you one. You know what I mean? So she's come from her market, as well as has the expertise and the financing to help you get that marketplace. So the services that are necessary to help extend the market, you have to have the financing. Our problem here in the United States, especially black people, we don't come together to create the financing necessary to do that. In fact, most of us don't even go. We go to Jamaica and have fun and come back and party, but we don't know that we have to invest and be a part of the marketplace to attract people. I would also say that BRICS may not be a bad thing for some countries. BRICS also includes South Africa, and these countries are coming together to change the global financial architecture. The one that we have now, which is called the Bretton Woods Agreement, the Bretton Woods was created to help revitalize Europe after the Second World War. But this one has become more amenable, I'm not saying it's correct, more amenable to African countries, European, with African countries and undeveloped countries to get involved in the global marketplace. So I don't want you to be frightened when they say BRICS, but you need to look at it from the way of if all these countries around the world, black countries, have not benefited historically, what's the issue now that we have to use to get together? And I think with BRICS and China and Brazil bring to the table, when the Chinese go, they build railroads. They build railroads, ports, and airlines. And I don't think in any African country we've actually built one. We're watching China build it and financing, but we have been engaged in that process. But that's another problem with the U.S., because like in the U.S., Israel, we can send hundreds of billions of dollars to Israel. We're not sitting here fighting and saying, send some money to Africa. We have not had that discussion with our own government yet. And so this is things where we have to look at the politics of global finance, the politics of fighting. And it's a fight, because they don't want to send it. That's why we don't get it. But I'm going to stop there.
I think you had something. If I may. You know, one of the problems that we have in the Caribbean is when elections happen in the Caribbean, new governments tend to take different paths towards what they want to do. And I think we need to overcome that. We need to have more of a Singaporean model that here is the model, this is what we will follow. It doesn't matter who's in power. I think that's something that still affects us in the Caribbean in general and all the others of the world. just a thought that we need to nudge our leaders towards having the pathway to follow, and everybody should follow the path. It should be my conclusion, especially towards prosperity. Well, I agree with that. So it's one thing.
You know, that's a very good point, and I do think that we're moving towards that direction because with the tutelage we got from Ghana 4 years ago, we're seeing a lot more of that happening in the Caribbean. You spoke earlier about the fact that the Chinese and the Indians are coming in, they're the new colonials. Okay? They have their objectives. Okay? I think with what's happening with the collaboration between the continent of Africa and the Caribbean and South America, we're getting there, which is called the South-South. The South-South region can develop themselves to a sustainable point, will be a force to be dealt with. But the thing about it is we just don't want to be a force. We want to be able to make a change throughout the world in reference to people, what is it that we have to offer, and how we can move the world to better ourselves going forward.
One question that I have, to your point, is thinking about like Philadelphia on a grassroots level, we have power of our currency, but we don't necessarily have strong per capita purchasing power. So I'm wondering that, like, towards the framework of a stronger South-South alignment, how can the African American portion of the diaspora serve as a stimulus to that, through things such as the economy, through things such as supporting boutique tourism, through things that are relatively attainable at a per capita, rather than as a large institutional level. I'm open to those suggestions.
If you don't mind, I'd just like to chime in. Because there are a couple of things that you've said in terms of boutique tourism and stuff, right? If you get a chance and you go on YouTube, look for this. Well, when you find her, you'll see what she's doing. A young lady called her Barefoot Island Girl. You may have seen it, I don't know if you have seen it. But she was here in America for 20 years. She did well. She went back to Jamaica and she's building small compounds on a big property that she has. And she's doing a wonderful job marketing herself and getting a lot of African Americans to buy these small houses on her compound for $20,000 for 5 years and do what you want to do. She have a whole thing set up for that. But one of the arguments that I'm hearing, and the young lady they mentioned it earlier, when she says, the Chinese and the Indians are coming into the Caribbean. Sometimes that conversation can be a little bit disingenuous coming from an American circle. And what I mean by that is, China has a lot of investment in America, a whole lot. Japan has a lot of investment in America, a whole lot. America has been here from day one with the Caribbean. You have never ever gone there and built a damn road for anybody in the Caribbean or do anything. So whatever the objectives of the Chinese are, I'm not saying we're not supposed to be careful and manage our agreements that we have with them, but we cannot use that language anymore, again, because that's not serving anybody's purpose, because for 50 or hundreds of years, America, even though the American treasury system was set up by a Caribbean guy, we in America have never ever tried to expand the Caribbean economy the way China is doing. To move a country, you need infrastructure. The U.S. become a powerhouse because we have infrastructure. Move away from railroad and add highways. And because we could move goods and services, the rest of the world couldn't keep up with us. And that's what China is doing when they do for other countries. I'm not saying, I said, take it with a grain of salt, know what you're doing, because there's a catch to everything. But you cannot be blaming one country for not moving one way when you have not, in any point in history, said, listen, we'll help you do this, other than throw the World Bank that way. But the World Bank, all they did was they come in, and if XYZ Corporation is going to the Caribbean, World Bank is giving Caribbean $20 million. However, that $20 million is written in such a fashion, it's bolstering that XYZ Corporation system setup, not the Caribbean structure. So we got to be very careful of that, and don't repeat it with China.
But I think Vicky Mitchell's question is asking suggestions pertaining to how can we, let me have you ask the question.
Okay, I'll take another shot at it. I guess what I'm thinking about is the average, everyday person that might, conceptually say, I want to support growth in the diaspora, but I only earn $40,000 a year. What can I do to help in a meaningful way?
They're like in front. Sorry. Go ahead. One way we can do that is to have funds. And it doesn't take a lot of money to create a fund. You can have funds where people invest $20, $30, what have you. And get a certain amount of money. You make investment. The people understand that it's like a bank. You get a certain amount. I think that could happen. How can it happen? By us getting together. The problem we have, though, generally, is that we don't trust each other. It's a fact. We don't trust each other. So if you come with an idea, you say, listen, we want to raise $2 million to invest in a boutique in Trelawney or Montego Bay or something. The moment you say that Chris is going to be the president of this, you're going to hear, all right, we're sure we just Chris for one. Right? That's all it is. He's holding us back because we don't trust each other. Yeah. We need to overcome that. Because what you say is very simple. If you talk about how much people in the diaspora, then it's Canada, the UK, the US, it's a lot of money out there. And if we got together, we could do so much, but we don't get together.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. I just honestly was going to say the same thing. I did a podcast a few weeks ago, Connected Minds, and I talked about the same thing, that we have a trust issue. But what we're doing is we're spearheading programs for African youth in real estate where we talk about trusting each other and talking about putting frameworks together for collective investments. So if you have individuals that don't make a large sum of money alone, then we can look at increasing the buying power through these collective investments and having systems and structures in place that will breed trust amongst individuals. So I think it's something that we're introduced and something I'll be elaborating on tomorrow as well in the seminar. Thank you.
Can I respond to about the trust issue? I'm sorry. So, 4 years ago, my siblings bought property in Exuma, and they rehashed the property. Oh, in Exuma, in the Bahamas. They rehabbed the property, and now they are doing an Airbnb. So I have a really big family, and so my siblings started to invite our family to go and check out their property. Their situation was a little bit different from our families. They had an inheritance, which allowed them to purchase this property. People don't understand that there's not mortgages in the Bahamas. You have to purchase the property, right? You have to have the capital already. So instead of investing in the Bahamas, the rest of my family invested in Belize. So they bought lots. So about four of my aunts and a cousin bought lots in Belize, and now they're building Airbnbs in Belize. My point is that when you have a trusted messenger and you have people that help you navigate foreign investment and investment in other countries, then you are able to get that done. So I don't know how to be able to articulate that story except to talk to you all, because my sister and her husband, they are in Silver Spring. The rest of my family is here in Philadelphia, but they decided to invest in the Caribbean as a family and build property. And it's essentially, they're going to end up retiring in the Caribbean. So that's a story that probably should be told.
Excuse me. Angus and Nevis is
Say
okay.
that, I'm hearing this, but I don't want y'all to forget that right now, people in the Caribbean that live in the United States send billions of dollars back home. More money than the U.S. does for a year. I mean, it's called remittances. It's going from the United States to Africa over $60 billion a year, 10 times any aid they go. So people are doing it. The question is the structural issues inside the country that may, some say needs to go to economic development, but it goes to small business, it goes to households, it funds the economy. So I don't want you to think that people back here screwing up. No, they're sending money, they're dealing with it. Almost every person that I know that comes from a college country fund is feeling and sending money back. So it's not that it's not happening. Number one. Number two, I would say for Adam, you're talking about, we have something here in Philadelphia called Progress Plaza. Reverend Solomon in 1968 had 4,000 people, 10,000 homes, 36 months, and that's how we're built. Cooperative economic cooperation, therefore, and his main theme was self-help. It's still practiced today, and so that's the model that's already there. Look at it, it may work, it may not work, but again, that's how you get to the little guy. That's why the cooperative group was created, so that people who make whatever it is less than money can invest. So that's another one I talk about. The other thing I want to point out is Donahue mentioned it earlier, and that's the coming together of the African community and character. I mean, while it's not new, we were just talking to the ambassador earlier about almost some of the great intellects that talked about Pan-Africanism, Black nationalism. They came from the Caribbean first, and then with the Africans. Whether George Patmore, Marcus Garvey. So the intellectual capital that pulled through what we call now Pan-Africanism, Black nationalism. Caribbean guys that brought that stuff. They wrote the books, they did it, and so we're now engaged in this coming together that is not new, it's just new people learning to do each other's stuff. So, which is not bad, I mean, that's what we have to do. Look at maybe the differences in how it was developed in that time to this time. And I think, as you guys talked about before, trust is probably one of those things, because that's what took Marcus Garvey down. He did it, he trusted his people, they took it down. They go through it, and we'll see a lot of that today. Finally, the question of the real thing with economic development now is colonialism, and that way it has continued to oppress local economies. And that is, we heard about a coup in Niger, one of the poorest countries in the world. But after just 2 years ago, but after the Nigerians took over and took the French out, they're now the best explored economy in the world. The French were getting the raw material out, maybe selling it for $1. As soon as the leadership of the country took over, they sold it for $1,000. So just in that term quick. So you have to look at the nature of the relationship of the colonial master and the colony. It's also happening in Burkina Faso, it's happening in Mali, happening in Guinea right now. And so all those countries are personified on the world stage, and they're being in the bad press because they're taking over control of the economy and kicking the French out. And some of you may know that if the French get kicked out of French Africa, they're all going to be a bubble. The notion is somewhere in the neighborhood of $500 billion a year. These are francophone African countries that go to France. Right. Even in the relationship between France and them, they put their money, they try to put their money in French banks, and they can't take it all out. They got a certain amount, and so they're being ripped off. Excuse my street language, they're being pimped, okay, with their own resources. And until the global strategy architecture changes that, and maybe even foreign their own policies, you're going to see a lot more of that happen. And these countries, like, they're going to be considered global pariahs because they're taking away from the European countries, and we can do it. Okay? When they start exporting cocoa beans from Ghana and the Ivory Coast and start making a chocolate bar there, we have a different world. They're going to be the worst people in the world that they make a chocolate bar and won't let any cocoa beans go out of the country until they've been made a factory. It's been made a chocolate bar. And force the world market to buy the chocolate, whole chocolate from them. So these are a lot of things I don't want to destroy our thinking in this great democracy that we live in, but they're shysters also. So we have to understand who we are, so we're doing that with, and help people to learn the skills so that they can be manufacturers and run IT stuff. When many of our African countries at least came to take a country like this country, Republic of Congo, when they became, when Patrice Lumumba became the prime minister of the state, there's like 2 or 3 people that are going to college in a country of 50 million people. And so the nature of this exploitation it's so burdensome to our people that we have to understand what we need to do. I mean, think about it this way. Black people didn't get right to vote in 1965 in the States ourselves. So I mean, it's not like we're living in heaven here. We got some work to do around the world. And I think the opportunity for us to come together as a global African diaspora will change that path.
Stan and everyone, thank you. In wrapping up, I'd like to just conclude with the fact that quite a bit has been shared this afternoon. I'd like for us to leave here keeping in mind there's a lot that we can do together. As we mentioned today, collaboration was the theme for this year. We have seen the result on what we can do when we collaborate. Okay, it has started to the point where we can now get involved in conferences that are Caribbean, CARICOM, and African nations for free money in reference to certain areas to expand or individuals or companies. Again, we're looking at the South-South collective, the North, and they call it North-North region, which is where Europe, United States is located. They've always benefited. Look at culture. Stan just mentioned about the musician. Comes to the United States, make a whole lot of money. If he does it down in his country, makes a whole lot of money. Why is it that the North benefits from us? We have the mineral, not only the mineral, the ideas, the art, the skills, and yet we're not doing that much for ourselves. Stan mentioned it. Marcus Garvey. We may have to go back and look at what Marcus Garvey had done in reference to the first ship and how we got that ship. Okay. But the movement has started. Let us continue to work together, collaborate together, moving our individual countries forward, moving ourselves forward. Again, thank you very much. And let's stand together before we leave this afternoon. Thanks. Oh, one thing I should mention. I need you to leave here this afternoon wondering what's happening in Haiti. Off the record, okay? There's a thing called iridium. Iridium. It's only found in Haiti and South Africa. Did any of you guys see the movie Black Panther? Remember that blue rock? Iridium
is the metal or is the ore that is used on the space satellites that power the space satellites before they go out. The thing costs $7,000 an ounce. $7,000 an ounce. So, we're going to get any further, but ask yourself the question.
Don't get your cell phone.
Exactly. Yeah, just use your cell phone.
Place in the world, you can get the stuff that goes to your cell phone. And then
that's right. That's the Donahue.
Only place in the planet. And they're one of the important resources, but not getting the benefits of that.
With the iridium.
Iridium.
No, I'm not saying with the iridium. If you look at what was happening to Jamaica in terms of the travel document that was put out, Don't Travel to Jamaica.
Yeah.
If you follow the internet, you'll see some well-educated person putting out articles and readers that say the iridium coming out of Haiti is too expensive to mine. And that's what is being done to undermine that progress of Haiti. And those arguments are going around. Jamaica benefited from a young lady, I forgot her name, but she had looked into that situation where we talk about don't travel to Jamaica. And when she put it together and put it on the internet, when I read it, if you notice, even the U.S. Travel Department was starting to move themselves away from that statement that says, do not travel to Jamaica. Because someone orchestrated, put it in there, and it backfired. But that young lady followed it up and put all the articles together to show how it was done and why it was done and how the U.S. got caught with their foot in their mouth and had to pull it back and stuff. So be very careful of what you're watching.
We have to do a shout out to Odunde 24.
Yeah, man.
Every year before we leave, we all say Odunde.
Odunde.
Odunde! I wanted to, in that regard, I wanted to give you honor. On Saturday, you'll see real estate in Ghana program is free to attend, right, Anna? But she's our person here, flew from Ghana to share with you guys. And then, of course, on Sunday is the festival itself, and this is our 49th year. I want to thank all of you for being here and look forward to seeing you next year on 50 years. But thanks, everybody.
Yes, thank you.
You said what time is it?
11 a.m.
Right.
11 a.m. I am the president. I did not introduce myself properly. I am the president for the Jamaica Trade Council of Greater Philadelphia. And on a daily basis, I'm an architectural engineer. So, if you need me, or what I'll do is I'll put information out in reference to when we're going to have our meetings. I'm at 610-637-8812 Sun Apply. So just reach out and we can get together and continue to keep ourselves at this point. Thank you. Picture moment.
Thanks, man.